Yo, we are back. It's the Goodfellas. Got my boys here with me again. A Will 5. How y'all feeling, man? Awful. My God. Hey, Will, how you feeling, bro?
I don't even know if I can explain.
You know what awful feels like? You ever felt awful before?
Why you feel awful, bro? Tell people why you feel awful, bro.
I feel awful because I just watched the Los Angeles Lakers lose to the Atlanta Hawks. The Atlanta Hawks.
They probably went to Blue Flame last night.
Yeah, possibility.
The Atlanta Hawks.
Atlanta? Not Atlanta. Atlanta.
Hawks.
Trae Young's going crazy. Other than that, though, bro, how you feeling?
Can we just go into the subject?
Hey, Luke Walton won't be the coach by the morning.
Yes. I fully expect the
I expect it right now.
to come right to my phone.
Can I get it right now?
He might not be able to get a post-game speech in the locker room.
Man, listen. He don't need to get on the plane. What they next game?
They got to be playing a home game.
They need
practice too long.
Free throws. Good God. Man, hey, Will, you got a hot take, man. We got a lot to talk about on today's show.
I do have a hot take.
We don't start it off with a hot take, though.
Alright, so this hot take is brought to us by my homie Mo. He says that Anthony Davis is a better player than Kevin Durant.
Anthony's a better player.
Is a better player than Kevin Durant.
Did he say why?
Okay, so he gave me, I'm going to give y'all a list. He said, this is the group of guards that AD has played with since he's been in the league. Eric Gordon, Drew Holiday, Ish Smith, Nate Robinson, Grievous Vasquez, Lance Stevenson, Tim Frazier, Quinn Cook, Jordan Crawford, Langston Galloway. His roster has been nothing short of inconsistent and terrible. He shot over 50% from the field every year he's been in the league, including averaging at least 20 and 10 year after his first year. He's a better defender than KD, better rebounder. He said KD is only a better shooter and a better ball handler, but not by much. He said if AD was in the East, no one would question his greatness, and he would be in the playoffs every year. The amount of inconsistency around AD his entire career is sad. This year, he is currently averaging 29-13 with 2 games of 40 and 15. KD is a better scorer than AD, but that's it.
That was well thought out.
Yeah, so keep your time.
That was the exact quote.
That was the exact words via text message.
Shout out to Mo.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, man.
So what y'all think?
Who wants to attack that first?
I'll let you go first.
I feel like 5 is going to.
I feel him on the point guard, but let's not discredit Drew Holiday. And let's not discredit that they had Rondo last year, and they were able to get into the second round. They swept the Portland.
Yes.
They swept Portland.
And he left out Tyreek Evans on that list too. Tyreek was Tyreek.
So, I'm not putting AD above KD. As great as a talent as AD is, like, there are times in the game where he'll disappear. He can't, like, and ball handling it's a bigger gap than people think. Like, Kevin Durant will come down and pull from 30. He will hit you with the right to left to right, back left, step back. Like, no, AD is not doing that. As far as defense, both 7-footers. I think Kevin Durant's defense has improved, but I think KD's game is more impactful. You know, right now, AD, we're looking at his gaudy numbers, but I think KD's, like, even though his numbers might not be as, he's still averaging, 27, 28 this year. He's not going to get as many rebounds. He plays on a team with Draymond. AD has to get all those rebounds. You know what I'm saying? And KD's a better passer. I think KD is a better passer. So I'm going with KD.
Y'all want to know what I think?
Yeah.
That's laughable.
Yeah, I'm going with KD.
It's pretty laughable.
You think it's laughable?
It's pretty laughable. Mm-hmm. Kevin Durant has done so much more in the NBA than Anthony Davis has. He's probably done more in 2 or 3 seasons, 2 or 3 of his maybe worse seasons than Anthony Davis has in his best seasons. To be honest with you. Let's not forget that Kevin Durant, pre-Golden State, led the league in scoring. What, he got 4 scoring titles?
He's got a few.
Yeah, he's got at least 3 scoring titles.
MVP.
He's got an MVP. He's been to the finals.
Back-to-back finals MVP.
Before with the Warriors. I think so many people get caught up in how he plays with Golden State because of the team that they forget that he led a team with 2 of the best superstars that we have in this league. And he was the leader on that team. He was the leader on the team with Westbrook and Harden.
Yeah.
For a reason. It's not like it was just like, oh, he's the big homie on the team. He's the big brother on the team. No, he led that team because he was the best player on the team. It's pretty laughable.
I think Anthony made his point.
Anthony Davis doesn't make a soul better on anybody's team. I've seen Kevin Durant carry a team by himself when Westbrook was out. They traded Harden. Westbrook was hurt. Probably missed about 50 games that year. I saw Kevin Durant put them on his back with a terrible roster, too. Let's talk about that roster if you want to talk about terrible rosters. Let's talk about having Andre Roberson on your team, a young Steven Adams. Ibaka was starting to come into his game a little bit, but I saw Kevin Durant take that team to new heights and new levels.
Yeah, he is a 4-time scoring champ.
4-time scoring champion. Come on now, cut it out, man. Cut that out, man. Cut that out.
I think you just made his point, though.
Cut that out, man. Cut that out.
I think you made most points.
If you put Anthony Davis on a team with Kevin Durant, LeBron James, probably with a few more All-Stars, he probably wouldn't be the best player on the team. He would not be the best player on the team.
And are we taking durability into consideration and who's saying who's better?
Because you didn't mention durability.
Because, I mean, if they ever rely on somebody as far as, like Anthony Davis, man, he's we all know he's a glass man for a reason. So, I mean.
And I think Anthony Davis' defense is it's a lot overrated, actually. It's a lot overrated. The Pelicans have been known to give it up to bigs for a few years now. It's not his thing. He does get blocks and he does get steals. He gets the outliers. I get it. But in terms of just locking people down, Anthony Davis really doesn't give you that. I mean, Vooch has 30 versus them today. So,
the man AD ain't never played.
Come on, man.
Man, he played the last couple years. Let's see, 75 games. Before that, man, he couldn't get to 70. So you're looking at 61 games played, 68, 67, 64, 1, 2, 3, 4. Nah, no way.
No, let's not put down Drew Holiday like that. I don't like putting Drew Holiday on the list with
I don't think Drew Holiday okay, so I'm gonna say this. I think both of y'all made this point. Kevin Durant has always had the better team than Anthony Davis. And if you want to compare Drew Holiday to Russell Westbrook, that's beyond crazy. They're not even in the same atmosphere. The two players. Period. And if your most consistent player is Drew Holiday, if that's the best guard you've ever played with, come on now.
I mean, I look at it like this.
And I mean, what I'm taking from his point is, if you just take the two players by themselves, if you give Kevin Durant the cast of players that Anthony Davis has had, is that same cast of players, are they doing anything? And I'm going to say, no.
I will disagree with that.
No.
I will disagree with that.
So I think, this is my thing. I think we'll know better if Kevin Durant ever steps up to the plate and goes somewhere where he does not have another guaranteed bona fide superstar, then we'll be able to better have this argument.
I mean, but how can you not? All right, so then we fought him because the Thunder knew how to draft?
No, so that's what I'm saying. So at one part, one part is a player, the other part is organization, right? Like they drafted OKC. Well, Seattle drafted Durant.
Right.
Then they drafted Russell. Then they drafted Hart. Right. And then they were able to put, like, those three were able to come together. They made the finals. Then, everything happened, right? But then he leaves OKC and he goes to Golden State.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in Golden State, he doesn't necessarily have to come in and be the man. He can just come in and just play his game. He can do his thing. Basketball is easier for him in Golden State.
It's easy for everybody.
In Golden State. So in that aspect, I understand what he's saying. I get what y'all are saying, right? And we've had this conversation plenty of times before. Anthony Davis, you can argue, he makes nobody better, right? But at the same time, Anthony Davis is a big man. I think the way the NBA is now, it's much harder for a big man to have a positive effect on the players around them, the way that the game is played now.
Then he'll never be better than Kevin Durant then.
So let me throw another name out there. Do you think Joel Embiid makes people around him better?
Yeah, guys have been able to step up to the plate. We've seen JJ Redick have great seasons with him,
but JJ has always been that. He's always been that.
Yeah, but this season's been a little bit different. I mean, he gets open shots. I mean, even Tobias in the 2 games that they've played with him, the game has been a lot easier for him. And Tobias just flat out came and said it, that the attention that Embiid gives him so much easier looks than he's ever seen in his entire life.
So where is Anthony? Who is Anthony Davis's Tobias Harris? Who is his JJ Redick? Like, look at the Pelicans roster and tell me, where is his JJ? Where is his Tobias Harris?
I think with his roster, a lot has had to do with them being hurt. Because, I mean, you look at their roster when the season started, they had Nico, you got Julius Randle, they had some solid pieces.
And they all were playing well.
And they all was playing decent.
And they was doing decent until the injuries came, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, injuries to his supporting cast is not his fault. But he's not necessarily not making them better. But we haven't seen him, like Drew Holiday hasn't jumped into that status that he should jump into, right? Playing with Anthony Davis. I'll give y'all that. I will give y'all that, right? Drew Holiday and Anthony Davis should be a dynamic duo. I will give y'all that.
I mean, he's averaging 21, 8, and 5 this season.
Should Drew be averaging more playing with Anthony?
Right, that's a career high. Those are career highs. 21, 8, and 5 is pretty good.
I mean, I look
for a second guy with AD getting all the usage.
Yeah,
that's pretty high. And you also had Julius Randle averaging 18 a game.
But they don't really play that much together.
No, they play them together a lot actually. They played Julius, and they played Anthony Davis a lot. Actually, they were starting both of them
at one point.
Yeah. When Nico went down, they started Julius. So I just think that's rude. I think that's rude.
Kevin Durant was rude.
I think it's rude for anybody to say that. I just think it's rude. I mean, I think the point that you just said, that the fact that Anthony Davis in this era
is a big man,
can never make anybody better.
I'm not saying he could never make them better. What I'm saying is the way in which the game is going, right? We don't have the traditional back to the basket where the big man catches the ball on post, they get a double team. And I'm not saying Anthony Davis doesn't demand a double team. But if my double team is coming at the elbow, at the high post, as opposed to the low post, it's a difference. There is a difference. It is.
Well, you don't have to double team at that.
And that's what I'm saying. So it's much easier to recover to a shooter if my big man is catching the ball at the high post versus the low post.
So let me, to that point, what you're saying, both of them are both 7 feet, right? So with that being said, like, you look at KD's skill set. Like, Anthony Davis isn't a back to the basket player.
He's more back to the basket than Kevin Durant.
He is. But what I'm saying is he's more face-up. He's more face-up.
Durant probably posts up more than he does.
He's more face-up. Embiid is back to the basket. Like,
absolutely. He's completely back to the basket.
My point with that is, if you're going to be, Anthony Davis, and the basis of your game really isn't even back to the basket, dude, then let's talk about skill set. Because if they both not back to the basket players, Kevin Durant can stretch you out 30. He can bring the ball up. He can run pick and roll. He can run your point. Like, his skill set, he's got a better skill set.
But see,
He's got a better skill set.
absolutely, I'm not arguing Kevin Durant's skill set. Kevin Durant is one of those once in a generational players, right? Like, he's 7 foot. He can shoot like a guard. He can handle like a guard. He can defend 1 through 5.
I mean, teams are literally searching for the next Kevin Durant.
And you won't find it, right? So I'm not taking, his skill set is much more better than that, but he's been doing that his whole life. He's been playing that role his whole life. So he hasn't had to adjust. Let's not forget, Anthony Davis, he hit a growth spurt, his junior to senior year in high school, and he went from a guard to a big man. So now he had to learn an entirely different skill set. An entirely different skill set.
That's cool. But I ain't taking him over KD.
I'm not either. I'm not taking him over KD either, but I get what Mo is saying. Like, given the situation that the two of them are in, KD is it's easier for him. It's been better for him. But if Anthony Davis was given the same embarrassment of riches that Kevin Durant was given, Anthony Davis might be in that conversation.
I'll say if you were to switch KD, if you were to switch prime, whatever year you want to take AD as prime year, like, and put him on that Oklahoma City team that went to the finals, I don't think they get to the finals with AD.
And I don't think he'd be the best player on the team.
Yeah, like
I think so. I'm gonna say this. I disagree because I think if Boogie doesn't get hurt last year, I think that New Orleans is a higher seed, and I think New Orleans potentially, if they don't make it to the Western Conference Finals, they're losing in 6 or 7. With Rondo, Drew, AD, and Boogie, and AD would be the best player on the team. So I do not agree with that. I think the injury bug, I think Boogie going down last year really hurt the Pelicans.
I mean, of course.
I mean, that was about if he was on OKC. Like, if you swapped him and KD out,
That's what I'm saying. I don't agree because they had it last year. They were playing well. The Pelicans were playing well with Rondo, with Boogie, with Drew. That's probably the same. Now, I'm not going to say probably the same, but that's comparable to the 4 that they had in OKC when OKC made the final, right?
Yeah, but they probably still would have been like a 4 or 5 seed, though.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they were around.
Who was the 4 seed last year? OKC. And the 4 and 5 seed last year was OKC and Utah. With Boogie, AD, Drew, and Rondo, they're better than OKC and Utah. Who was the 3 seed last year?
The Blazers.
And with those 4, they're better than the Blazers.
Yeah, they won 52 games, though.
Yeah.
I mean, you still got to win the games. Like, no matter if you're better than that team, you still have to win the game.
Yeah, so you don't think with Boogie they would have been better?
I don't think they were on pace to win 52 games. I think they would have won higher 40s, maybe 48, 49, maybe on that, like, kind of on that brink of 50 games. But I don't think they get to 52. Okay. I mean, I don't think they were on pace to. I don't know if they even had a shot, to be honest with you. Because they were like a 4 or 5 seed when Boogie got hurt. I know that for a fact. They were like a 4 or 5 seed. They had a drop off to where they were fighting to even get into the playoffs, and then they got back into the 6th seed, and they fell into the 6th seed. But yeah, they were because they were behind Minnesota. So they probably were like a 5 or 6 seed, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, because Portland was always pretty high. You had Minnesota at 3. You had Golden State at 2. You had Houston at 1.
Portland could have been.
Portland snuck up at the end, though.
Yeah, they went on the street. They wasn't that.
Portland got hot, and then they got cold. But that's a good point. You're talking about AD and KD, because that actually, and again, shout out to Mo for that hot take. Diving right into our next point, and we're going to be talking about Russell Westbrook, 10 straight games, NBA record, 10 straight triple doubles. James Harden just got his 30th straight 30-point game.
30-point game. 30 for 30.
First off, which one is more impressive to y'all? Don't all speak at once.
I would say
Don't all speak at once.
I would say Westbrook's if I was just looking at it, like just from a like accomplishment standpoint. But Westbrook has shot like 25% in like 8 of the game. So I mean, when you like gunning your way to like 12 points and then obviously the rebounds and the assists are there, I mean that's a big accomplishment. But
Shit, he's gunning his way.
I mean, he's gunning his way to double-digit points, like just the double-digit points, like.
So you're saying he's searching for
I mean,
those
in the 10th game, right? He shot 25% from the field.
He's awful
From the field.
awful from the line this year too. He might be shooting worse than Bron.
But you know, so I read like he's shooting bad from the line because he can't do his regular routine. Like his regular routine was he would shoot a free throw, whether it hit or miss. He would walk to half court and then come back. But now they can't
Grow up.
They can't leave.
He's got to grow up.
I didn't know they could.
They can't leave the line.
Yeah.
You have to stay on the line.
Within the 3-point.
Yeah.
They can't leave the circle. They can't leave the half circle.
He's got to grow up.
Oh, I didn't know that actually.
He's got to grow up.
I guess.
I mean, that's his routine. He's been doing it since listen, wait, everybody in the internet
Nah, man. That's no excuse to shoot 60% from the line as a guard. And you Westbrook, and you go from 80 to 60.
So if I took you out your routine, you think you would still shoot 80%?
I mean, look at Bron.
I'm asking questions.
Well,
Yes,
if I
took you out your routine,
all the way to half court.
if I take you, so what was your free throw
I
routine?
stood there. Like, I'm ready.
I think you the free throw champ.
Yeah, you do.
I didn't say nothing. He said it.
He's a shooting coach. You're ready to shooting coach.
Look at Bron, bro. Bron has been terrible. I don't care if he goes to
We all
half court.
said he don't have the same routine. Bron doesn't have the same routine.
When he do have a routine, he just
When he had a routine in Cleveland, when he had a routine in Miami, he shot decent.
So I'm not making no excuse for no dude to go from
decent compared to this.
to go from 80%. Everybody has. I'm pretty sure a lot of people in the league have had to not walk back to half court and ain't shooting that bad from the line.
I will say this: when I used to practice free throws, I never did my game routine.
You never did your game routine.
No, I did not, because I used to do high volume. I did like one dribble, shoot it, or I do catch and shoot.
And if you
like to do 10 in a row.
But if you look at Westbrook, he does exactly that. He'll take a couple dribbles. It don't even look like he bends his knees. And he'll do, what do they have? They don't, bro. Like,
His routine is different.
It's just all mental, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
Free throws are a lot mental.
I'm taking Harden.
You taking hard.
Because with OKC, if you look, man, PG is really the MVP of that team this year. So, I mean, Westbrook numbers, they look good. They look like my player numbers. You know what I'm saying? 2K my player numbers, 26, 12, and 11, 18, 15, and 11. Like, but no, Harden did it. Chris Paul was out. They literally went from like a 10 seed to, what are they now, like a 5?
No, they're way higher than 5. That's like a
4
or 4.
Yeah, like his impact, man. Like if it wasn't for PG, they'd be in trouble. OKC would be in big trouble this year. So I'm going hard. This is more impressive.
Do I got to pick one?
Yeah,
I have to.
yeah. Please.
They're actually a 5 seed right now.
5 seed, yeah.
Tied with Portland.
I got to pick one.
You got to, man. Must be really impressed.
No.
The Hardens. So
Never
I
mind.
think OKC is like 8-2 in the 10 games, and Harden's team is 21-9 over 30.
Give me Westbrook. Give me Westbrook. Why? I feel like Harden is searching for it now. Like I don't even think he's. I'm gonna go back to the conversation we had before, right? Like Harden is shooting a high volume of threes,
Right.
and yes, he has to. Like Harden has to do it for his team to win. Westbrook is able. Like Westbrook, although he's shooting bad, he still is having an impact on the game in more ways than one. I think if Harden is not scoring the ball, Houston doesn't have a chance. So he has to do it. And all his teammates know that. So it's kind of like the pickup game at the gym where you pick the best player and it's like, I grab a rebound, just give it to the best player, move out the way. He gonna score, he gonna lead us to victory. We all gonna win It ain't gonna look pretty, but we gonna win. Like I feel like that's what's going on in Houston right now. Yeah. Russ is his offensive shooting is looking horrible.
Putrid.
Horrible.
To be quite honest.
But he still brings that energy. Adams is still he's still giving the ball to Adams in the right spots. He's still giving the ball to Ferguson and the other guy, Grant.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's still getting them in the right spots. He's not letting his shooting take him out of the game. So I think that's why I would go with Russell.
Man, we talk about James Harden shooting all these threes, and he's actually this is his second highest 3-point percentage of his career.
What he shooting?
37.
That's decent. That's decent. Who you taking?
He said, "Well, no, I'm taking James Harden. I can't take Westbrook shooting 25% from the field. Like,
how you that bad for me?
Yeah, you can't. If you get a triple double and you like 3 of 15 from the field, no, don't get me wrong. It's and I know you talked a little bit about James Harden searching, which I do think the last couple games they have been searching for it.
Oh yeah, he's searching for them.
But I feel like Westbrook searched for a triple double.
Westbrook search.
Do you see what
he's searching.
Yeah, I mean they just let him grab the ball now. The rebounds, they're back to let him just grab the rebounds. Even though he's in the vicinity,
he'd be like, all right.
Even though he's in the vicinity, they just let him just grab it.
Yeah,
all right, man, just go ahead and have it, man. So I'm gonna go with James just because of his assists are still there too. I know we talking about how his high volume is and all that, but his assists have still been there. Man, he's averaging 36 a game, man. I ain't seen this ever.
Kobe
averaged 34 a game.
35.
35
that 1 year.
This man averaging 36.7 points.
Don't say you ain't seen it.
I ain't never seen it. Not this high.
Kobe 35. That was the year he scored 81.
Yeah, and I hated the way Kobe played.
Ain't that 35?
I watched a lot of those games.
I mean, at least Kobe wasn't dribbling the ball for.
That is absolutely true. Kobe.
36 seconds.
My God. What LeBron say?
You know what that means? ISO.
LeBron say ISO.
Yeah. So. Yeah. Imagine if Kobe was now with that tear. With the rules
yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, he would get 40. He would get 38. He would get 38 a night. Shooting that type of the value that he was shooting, he would absolutely get 38.
What?
Yeah,
and he would, and it would be with Kobe maybe shoot threes a game.
Yeah, he would have been anywhere between 3 to 5.
Yeah, he would have been at the basket on the line.
He made his free throw.
But the thing with him is
mid range.
The thing with him is though Kobe got to it. Got busy.
Give me the
ball. I'm not waiting on you. I'm not toying with you. I'm getting busy.
He come down the court. He see who coming up the guard. Oh, give me this ball.
I'm getting busy.
As soon as he got it, he just making his move. Wasn't no hesitation. He ain't got to think about it. He can bring a double team, triple team.
He trying to turn the corner.
Yeah, he had Smush Parker on across the end of the court. I wouldn't have passed him the ball either.
The thing is though, that's the difference between James Harden and Kobe. I know we talk a lot about how much he dribbles, but even when he goes to the rim, sometimes it's not he's still searching for a foul, between the drive and the rim. Kobe was only purpose when he got you on his hip was to get to the rim.
And he was trying to finish.
Yes, and he was trying to finish and ones. I feel like Harden doesn't do that sometimes. Harden say a stop sometimes, try to bump you a little bit, try to get you to reach, and then try to get.
I've seen Harden get a pick and roll and get in front of his defender and have easy mid-range shots, and then circle back around just to do that same pick and roll to take a 30-foot step back.
Yeah, that's the difference. That's just the difference.
You know what I mean? And we were talking about Paul George. Got another hot take.
Yeah. So my boy Ryan Robinson, he asked a question. This was the night OKC and Houston played.
Okay.
He asked in the group chat he said, is Paul George a top 10 player?
This year.
He just said he's a top 10 player. I said no. Now if you ask me this year, I said yes. If you ask me the last 3 years, I say no.
Over the last 3 years.
I think this year he's put himself back in that category.
Is it easy though? Think. So let me before you go, I'm gonna give you 10 players. I'm just gonna in no order. I'm just gonna write off 10 names. So I did this: Kyrie, Giannis, Harden, Kawhi, Embiid, Westbrook, Steph, AD, KD, and Bron. Those are just 10 names. Is Paul George better than any of those 10 right there?
This
Say
year,
that again.
Kyrie, Giannis, Harden, Kawhi, Embiid, Westbrook, Steph, AD, KD, and Bron. Is he better than any of those 10?
this year, I can't.
Even if you say this year.
If I say this year, yes.
Which one?
I would say right now over Kyrie.
I'll take him over Kyrie too.
Is it easy though?
Yes.
In the Western Conference, he's got OKC at number 3. Or
Yes.
they're 3 seed in the West.
Yes.
He's been balling.
Now Kyrie was the last name I added, and it took me a while to think of
And
Kyrie.
even with Kawhi, I know they number 2, but I mean, man, what Paul George is doing in the Western Conference, man, like he's not missing no games.
Yeah, you sound special now.
What? I'm not saying I would take, but I mean, if you look at it, it ain't that huge of a like Kawhi and Paul George. I mean, like what Paul George is doing, man. Like
What'd you call him, 5?
Special.
over what's Kawhi numbers this year?
He averaging 27 a game.
Who Kawhi?
Yeah.
Okay,
And Paul George averaging 28.7.
28.
Yeah.
I mean, why can't he be?
You just said yourself you wouldn't take him over. You just said it yourself you would take Paul George.
Is it that far of a gap though? This year,
I wouldn't think about it in a heartbeat. If Paul George, somebody asked me who am I taking, Kawhi Leonard or Paul George, this year, last year, the year before that, I'm gonna take Kawhi Leonard.
this year, I don't know. I think it's kind of close. I think it's close.
Kawhi Leonard just a different type of guy.
He is, but he's also a resting guy.
He's a different type
Like
of guy.
when he rests, they still load management. Like if you take Paul George off of this team and rest him right now, like
We talking about Kawhi Leonard averaging 27 a game, and that team is pretty well balanced actually.
It is.
And he's averaging 27 a game. Paul George take all the shots. Man. Westbrook take all the shots.
they got to.
But that's what I'm trying to say. Like, we can look at the numbers, but the numbers don't tell you everything. But also, if Kawhi is averaging 27 a game and sharing a lot of the usage, and only a point behind Paul George, who got all the usage, like, okay, that tells me all I need to know.
Are we
And he's a better defender.
Yeah, he's the best.
Yeah, the best defender in the league.
Yeah.
Point blank, period.
Yeah.
Point blank, period.
So what were those other names? Like I wouldn't take one of those other names.
Bron,
No.
KD,
No.
AD,
No.
Steph,
Hell
Embiid,
no. Give me Embiid.
Giannis,
No.
Harden,
No.
Westbrook.
Shit.
This year?
No, I'm not doing it. I'm not going to discredit what Westbrook has done in years.
So I think it's a two-parter, right? So my thing, I turned it into a two-part
Okay.
because he didn't say this year or like this period. So I said this year, I would say Paul George is a top 10 player.
I would say he's better
This
than
year.
Westbrook. I would say he's having a better year than Westbrook is.
But I would, like I said, if we stretch it the last 4 years,
No.
but even if we do the last 3 years, no, he's not top 10.
No. We wouldn't even know.
No.
Hell no. Indiana wasn't even in the playoffs one year. Playoffs? Come on, man. Playoffs. Come on, man.
Is it another player I'm forgetting though?
No.
Think about it.
Top 10?
Yeah, top 10. Any other player? Those just came off my head.
Damian Lillard.
Oh,
I wouldn't take Paul George over Klay Thompson.
see,
Yeah, Danny over there.
Danny
Danny over there drunk. Hey, the man in the right spot. Hey, the man behind the camera.
The man behind the one man.
The one man cameraman.
You over there drunk.
And the man behind the camera.
Hey, the man behind
That do-rag tied too tight.
that boy just said he ain't taking Paul George over Klay Thompson. What is
Shoot every
Yeah, you wild disrespect. Hey, and we about to get even more disrespectful on this next topic.
You had one of them cookies.
I'm trying to think of some more names. I mean, Damian Lillard, to me, is dynamite. Like,
So should Dame be in the top 10 players this year?
No.
Bro, you said that too easy. I feel like you didn't even think about that.
Nope. No. Not taking over none of it.
So you wouldn't take Dame over Russ this year?
This year?
This year.
I mean, they got the same amount of wins as Houston does right now.
With Portland?
Yeah.
This year. Russell Westbrook or Damian
26 a
Lillard?
game. 26 a game.
Russell Westbrook or Damian Lillard this year. This year. Which one you take?
Also have to take in fact that if we talking about Drew Holiday being Anthony Davis' second best player, CJ McCollum is his second best player.
This
And
year.
after that, the drop off is nasty.
Okay, I'm gonna give y'all a
No
different
disrespect,
one.
Alex.
Hold on, I'm gonna give y'all a different one. What about the Joker? Is he a top 10 player this year? I didn't even put him on that list.
This year,
This year.
I'll take Paul George over him though.
This year.
I'll take Paul George over him though.
But should he be on this list that I created?
This year, no.
This year?
No.
So you would take Russ over the Joker?
Harden, Davis, Paul George, Curry, Durant, and
Davis in there. I was still putting Davis in there.
So now you know Davis has a top 10 players.
No, for this season.
What's in this cup? What's in this cup?
For this season.
What's in this
having a
cup?
better season.
What's in this cup?
George and Train was a game.
What's in this cup?
Like, yo, need to be in there, bro. I just feel like we gotta do like
That's what I'm saying. So that's what I'm saying. So do we take out Russ? Y'all already said Kyrie can be taken out, right? Do we take out Russ?
They got the second seed in the West, man.
Do we take out Russ? Do we take out
For Joker?
for the Joker or for Dame?
I can't do it.
Yeah, take out Dame.
I can't do it. I'm not taking Dame out either.
So you putting Dame in over Russ? Top 10.
I'm not.
This year?
This year.
Yes. Yes.
I'm not.
Yes.
And we're not gonna put the Joker in here.
Nah, I can't put the
So he's like 11. Is the Joker
Yeah, he
11?
top 15. Top 15. Absolutely.
Oh, so we didn't. He's not top 11. So you telling
He
me
could be number
he's
11.
battling for the people
Yeah.
for the 11th slot?
I mean, because Dame's got to be somewhere in there.
No, Dame is in the top 10. You said Dame is in the top 10. So if we take Russ out,
But you had 10 names without Dame.
and without Paul George. So, but y'all said take Kyrie out. So I took Kyrie out.
I would put Kyrie over Joker. I would put Kyrie over Joker.
Okay. All right. What about Ben Simmons?
Yeah. Give me the Joker.
Okay.
That's easy. Yeah, that's easy.
Let's talk about it.
Did you say
We said it.
Man, don't disrespect.
Okay, I got a name. How about Kemba Walker?
No.
Not
I don't even
Kemba.
know. He's top 15.
Averaging more points
Top
and more
15.
assists than Kyrie this year.
Top 15. Let's cut it out. Top 15.
Averaging more points and more assists than Kyrie this year.
Top 15.
25 a game.
Tim Williams' team is
You can preach them numbers.
They're 7 seed right
Okay,
now.
top 15.
Boston are 5.
Top 15.
And his team is awful.
Yeah, top 15.
Team awful. Batum is second best player.
Shout out Batum.
Top 15.
I don't know about that.
Can we, let's go to the next topic. Because it's like within this, it actually correlates very well.
Okay.
It's very, very well.
But we're not putting Kemba Walker above Kyrie Irving.
No.
This year I would.
Well, what are you drinking over there?
Goose.
This year I would. Yeah. Kimba's having a better year than Kyrie.
You had a rough day at work, a lot of meetings or something.
No, the numbers and the wins are telling it for me.
Oh, okay.
I'll take Kemba Walker's year over Kyrie Irving's year this year.
The numbers in the win. So why Jokic ain't in the top 10 then?
I say he's right there.
No, why he not in it? If we taking the numbers in the
No,
win.
you didn't say Kemba in the top 10.
No, Kemba's not.
You just said he just take Kemba over Kyrie.
This year.
This year.
And Kyrie's not in the top 10.
Yeah, Kyrie was the first name I moved out.
Yeah, he took Kyrie.
I'll put Paul George in that list before I put Kyrie.
This year.
This year. Just this year.
Are we forgetting anybody else? Anyone?
If we are, we gonna remember it in this next segment.
Chris Middleton.
Jesus, man. You got one more outfit. You know what I mean? You got one more
I can't remember it. Jesus, yeah. Jesus. Prayer.
Hey, so that's gonna take us to the next topic, man. We touched on this about a month ago? Towards the end of one of the episodes? Superstar players in the NBA, right? So I think we were talking about Harden was definitely one of the names we was talking about. We was talking about AD, talking about Jokic. We had a nice little about 10 minute dialogue. So we going right back to it, man. What makes a player a superstar in the NBA? My criteria is different. I think.
Let's start with your question.
All right, man. Let's get to it. So, I think it's another level. Like you got your all-star, you got your role players, of course. You got your all-star players, and then it's like right after your all-star, we always go right up to superstar. I think there's another tier in between that.
So star.
No, like elite. Like it don't have to be, but it's another tier before I can call you a superstar. So for me, it's like an elite player. Or like you at that stage of you're an all-star, but you're on the verge of becoming a superstar.
Okay.
So for me, superstar got to do something both regular season and show me something in the playoffs. Like I got to see something in the playoffs. Like something has to happen. You know what I mean? That's why James Harden to me is an elite player. But I'm not calling him a superstar in the league. I don't care how many 30-point games he get in the regular season. I need to see him do this in the playoffs. Until he stops choking in the playoffs, I'm not gonna give him that superstar category.
Okay, so let me ask this question. How many superstars do you think are in the NBA?
In the NBA right now, LeBron, KD, we got Steph. That's 3. We got superstar players. That's 3. I've seen. I'm gonna say Westbrook, man. I'm gonna go on Westbrook. That's 4.
I'm gonna lean in and hit this.
Let me see who else we got. Who else was in that top 10 you had?
Giannis, Embiid, AD.
Alright, before you go to that,
I just need to know how many superstars you think in the league.
Hold on. I want to go back to the last name you just mentioned. So you said Russell Westbrook.
And he's borderline to me.
Hold on. You just said Russell Westbrook is a superstar in the NBA. Right?
That's debatable.
What type of playoff success does he have?
I said that's debatable. I don't have that's debatable. Like to me, you have to have you look at players like Giannis. I'm not calling you a superstar. You just lost to the Boston Celtics and they didn't have none of their players last year. None. I'm not calling you a superstar. I'm not calling Embiid a superstar yet. They lost to Boston with Kyrie gone, Hayward gone. I'm not calling you a superstar. No.
So why is Westbrook a superstar?
I can take him out. without hesitation.
I mean, they just lost.
Without hesitation.
Well, they lost. He's lost in the first round 2 years in a row.
He's lost in the first round. To me, Westbrook, you're right. We take him off the list. Like superstars, I need playoff success. I need what when we were calling Jordan superstar. Like we were calling Karl Malone superstar. Tim Duncan superstar. Like it wasn't because they were just they did it in the regular season. And Kobe Bryant superstar. Like it was because they did it in the postseason as well.
I just want to ask this question.
What's up?
Because you always say this, right? You say superstars, their game elevates when it comes playoff time, like their numbers. But what if your numbers stay the same?
Consistency. Do it if you're consistently you look at even with LeBron.
Okay.
Right. Some of his the finals they won against the Spurs and they went back to back. His finals numbers weren't they didn't necessarily pop out at you like that. But at the end of the day, when it came down to it, he made the big plays. The game 7, he had 35, 37. He didn't shy away from the moment. You know what I'm saying? So he stepped up, and even that postseason was when he had that classic game in Boston. Probably the best game I've ever seen him play.
So
you got to show me something in the postseason.
So if you say consistency is also a part of being a superstar, does Harden and Westbrook not give you the same numbers in regular season versus postseason?
Go look at Harden's numbers.
Yeah, hard numbers.
Hard numbers drop.
Hard numbers do decline.
They got doo-doo.
From compared to his regular season numbers, they do.
Always 30 points, 30 points. They go from 28, 29 a game to 26, 27. His assists go down and his turnovers go up.
I agree.
It's not superstar. I can't call you a superstar like that. That's me. I'm not. Everybody else ain't going to
So you're saying we got 3 superstars in the league?
3 superstars?
3 superstars. No, that's what he said.
Whoa.
He said KD, LeBron, and Curry. Only superstars. We got 3 superstars in the league. 3.
Man,
And
don't get me wrong. Within the next few years, I think we're gonna have more because I think Giannis is gonna have some postseason success this year. And I think he's going to have some outstanding series this year. I don't think they're going to get eliminated in the first round. They're probably going to be a 1 or 2 seed. They got a great shot at going to the finals. So I think you're going to see some players step into that realm after this year, and then you got to do it year in and year out.
So you think? So you're saying in the NBA, you can be a top 10 player and not be a superstar?
I got another level before superstar. Like I said, to me, yes.
Okay.
To me, yes.
Jamal just say y'all disrespecting Kawhi.
I just wanted to, before I give my definition of superstar, I just want to
I'm just talking about just the Kawhi thing. I mean, Kawhi really hadn't had a big playoffs in a while.
No, yeah, he hasn't. I mean, we haven't seen him.
So 5 years. Can you be a top 10 player and not be a superstar?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so where's how many superstars do you think we got in this league?
How many do I think we got?
Yeah.
More than 3, I tell you that.
More than 3, but less than 10.
More than 3, but less than 10. Yeah.
Can't call everybody a superstar.
Yeah, more than 3, less than 10. I agree with LeBron, KD, Steph. James Harden is an absolute superstar in the NBA. Game changer. Absolutely.
Game changer. In regular season.
Game changer. He's made it to 2 Western Conference Finals. Let's not act like he hasn't won in the postseason before. Westbrook is a superstar. He's a walking triple-double. That's like saying Oscar Robertson wasn't a superstar when he played. That's absolutely false. So Westbrook is a superstar.
He got a ring when he was doing, he got a ring though.
Who got the ring?
Oscar.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, eventually. It came later on in his career. It wasn't a triple double.
It wasn't that far after.
It wasn't the year he had a triple double. He still was a superstar in the NBA.
Yeah. But it wasn't that far after.
Well, that's all I need to know. That's all I need to know.
You at 5.
I'm at 5. Anthony Davis.
That's 6.
Giannis.
7.
And give me Kawhi Leonard. I will put Kawhi in there. And that's it. That's it. That's cut off. Cut off. You got some people who are on the brink. Kyrie, Embiid.
So why are some of these players on the brink?
Embiid just hasn't just done enough. I mean, he hasn't. So
can Embiid, if Embiid plays well this season in the playoffs, does he become a superstar?
Potentially, I mean, you can throw him into the mix. I just wouldn't throw him in the mix at all. He's on the brink, but I wouldn't even I'm not even debating should I put him in, should I not put him in? I'm like, no, he's out for sure right now. But he could make a splash in the next year or two to where he can kind of join into the conversation.
How Giannis a superstar but not Kyrie?
Yeah, I got it.
Kyrie's numbers is not that great.
Kyrie in the playoffs.
His assist numbers have just boomed up in the last 2 years. His numbers is not that great. They don't have eye popping numbers. To me, don't get me wrong, he's hit some big shots and some big moments, but. Yeah, I'm not putting Kyrie in there. No, he's got superstar talent. He's got superstar talent,
but not a superstar.
Yeah, but he's not a superstar.
So you saying T-Mac was never a superstar?
I'm one of the people that think T-Mac was never a superstar. I'm one of the people that think that. I don't think T-Mac was ever a superstar.
Do you agree with that, David?
I do.
I'm one of the few.
His postseason, he never had postseason success, man.
That ain't his fault. I'm saying Gilbert Arenas was a superstar.
T-Mac. Wait, time out. T-Mac's postseason success is not due to his lack of productivity. Let's not say that.
He's also a 3-1 in the series and still.
But it ain't due to lack of productivity.
You gotta give me one more victory. Yeah, bring me one more.
KD and Russ was up 3-1. Ain't nobody taking that away. Ain't nobody.
We gave him some heat for that. We gave him big heat for that.
Back-to-back champs.
We gave him big heat for that. He talking about Russ and KD.
I'm talking about Russ and KD. No, they was up 3-1.
And big slack.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You're right. We gave him slack. You're right. We gave him slack.
Hell yeah.
We didn't give him flack. We gave him slack.
Everybody was talking about that.
Did T-Max?
But I think both made up for it though. I mean,
T-Mac losing was not due to productivity.
he had some good playoffs.
He has not due to productivity.
He ain't do like Harden.
And that's what I'm saying. So we're gonna say Harden is a superstar. Y'all
we.
Hold on. We gonna call Harden a superstar, and y'all just told me.
I saw Harden go to the Western Conference Finals before too. Twice.
But listen. I just want to say this. Y'all just said Harden. One of y'all said Harden wasn't a superstar. The other one said he was. Y'all both said his numbers decline in the playoffs.
But I've also seen him win too.
Y'all said T-Mac, who produced in the playoffs, is not a superstar
and lost
because he lost in the playoffs.
Yeah,
he put up his numbers and probably was better than his regular season numbers.
I can't sit here and tell you that, and that man never made it out the first round.
So wins and losses play a part in being a superstar.
In the NBA, I cannot call you a superstar. You don't.
You gotta be able to win.
You gotta be able to get out the first round.
Okay, so now I'm about to get one of y'all.
He was up 3-1.
5 said Anthony Davis was a superstar. Anthony Davis does not have wins.
I always go back and forth on that. You have not heard me say that. You have heard me say that before. I go back and forth on Anthony Davis is a superstar.
No, he's not.
So I just want to know I'm just trying to find the consistency in this.
Clear cut line.
Ray, you got 3 superstars in the league. You're harsh.
You haven't gonna have like 10 in the last 20 years.
Oh, man. According to you, we got about 5 in the entire league.
I mean, if we name it past superstars, I can let you know if they fit my criteria. Like, I mean, if we go back,
is AI a superstar?
Yeah, dude. What? Yes.
I ain't asking if he's a favorite player.
No.
I asked if he was a superstar.
Postseason success.
MVP finals once.
He been there.
Once.
He took a bum team. He was there.
Yeah, what did he do in the playoffs outside of that 1 year?
Iverson?
Yeah. I ain't talking about his numbers. I'm just talking about wins versus losses.
He's made it out of the first round a couple of times.
A couple.
Yeah, more than your T-Mac.
Listen,
but he's been to the finals though. That's what I'm saying. Like, if Harden had been to the finals, and
Harden did go to the finals
as the man.
He helped get him there though. That series versus
That's what I'm talking about.
His series.
I'm talking about leading the way as the man. As like, yo,
T-Mac was in the finals too
with the Spurs.
I mean, he was there. Y'all can say I had to get there. He was there.
That's man. This is my team.
In the worst suits you ever seen.
You hear me?
Yeah, I said Anthony Davis not a superstar.
I go back and forth.
Well, again,
I go back and forth on it all the time. I'm the one who put probably the most slack on Anthony Davis that you ever probably see. But when we do talk about like generational talents, and he's that guy. He's that guy.
that's gotta be a balance though, because DeMar DeRozan been in the conference final like twice.
Who?
DeMar DeRozan, but he's not a superstar.
No.
But he's had numbers in the playoffs.
Bruce, I'm gonna need you to stop eating those scripts. Stop.
I was gonna say, always lost.
We talking about the same guy who got mental issues?
Yeah, we're not gonna make fun of mental issues. We're not gonna make fun of mental issues.
He's also
We're not making fun of mental issues.
He's also
what I'm saying is like he's mentally like just been gone from series. Like
he's checked out.
Like just checked out.
He's
So like we have no chance.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, you can see the look of defeat.
He knew before the series started. Like we ain't winning, so I don't.
We had nothing to do with loss. We had to do with production.
Okay, so
I'm all about production.
So
I'm all about production.
Can I see y'all?
It's not being all about production. It's about your impact on the NBA. It's about wins and losses, and it's about productivity. Like you have to be like one of those people. Like you know who a guy who's going to be on the brink of being a superstar in the NBA solely off of what he's done and what he means for the game? Luka. Luka's going to be. Like, Luka may never have the numbers like Paul George has this year or James Harden has, but because he's that European kind of culture, kind of...
So is Dirk a superstar?
NBA championship.
I am waiting to hear no. I am waiting.
Absolutely, he's a superstar.
But that's why Dirk is a superstar. Like, Dirk is a superstar because of what he means to the game. Like, before, like, they won their championship, like, Dirk's numbers, like, were, I mean, they were good. They were all-star numbers, but he always was a superstar. Even with just all-star numbers.
Is my Michael? Was Kevin Garnett a superstar?
Oh, that's a long pause. This
Was KG a superstar?
Yes.
Never made it out the first round.
And you said it. Come on. I'm waiting
To me, he falls into that Anthony Davis type. To me, he falls into that Anthony Davis type thing. Like, he's a generational talent, and he means a lot to the game.
Nah, I can't. Hold on.
Kevin Garnett.
Let me ask you this. When he got his Boston years.
Pre-Boston years, was Kevin Garnett a superstar in the NBA before he got the Boston?
Yes.
Before he got to Boston?
Yes.
No.
I don't even get it no more. I don't get it.
That's tough.
I'm sticking with my criteria, bro.
Look at his playoff number. That's why I don't understand. Okay, let me give y'all my definition of a superstar. First off, I think you have to do it. You have to do it for a minimum of 5 years.
Right.
There has to be a level of consistency, right? So your numbers have to be consistent for a 5-year period.
Okay.
Flat out, right?
I ain't mad at that.
You have to be able to impact the game in more ways than one. You cannot be a one-trick pony.
Okay.
Right? To me, wins and losses is a part of it, but it's a small fraction of it. Because a lot of times, your team, you can do everything you can to will your team to victory, and your team can still just flat out lose. Period. To me, that's a superstar. Like that's a superstar. And I do I think you could be a top 10 player and not be a superstar? I'm gonna say no. But let me finish what I'm saying. Do I think there are 10 players in the league right now that are superstars? Like flat out, given my criteria, no. But do I think in the given years we will have 10 superstars in the league at one time? Yes. Because like Russell Westbrook is having a down year this year, shooting wise. But you will never hear me say that Russell Westbrook is not a superstar. Because he has done it for the length of time that he's needed to do it. He's been consistent. His numbers may not be better in the playoffs according to Ray, but his numbers ain't dropping off far. He still impacts the game in the playoffs. Yes, he's lost in the first round, but Russell Westbrook took a team with him, Steven Adams, Andre Roberson, and I can't even name other people, and they made the playoffs when he first averaged a triple-double. You cannot just be an elite player and do that. You cannot be. Tim Duncan, y'all ain't gonna sit here and tell me Tim Duncan ain't a superstar. But Tim Duncan never had that one series or that one. I don't remember. And I'm just being honest. In the let's say the last when he was in the Spurs, maybe his last 10 years with the Spurs. I don't remember a dominant Tim Duncan in the Spurs. I remember a consistent Tim Duncan, but not a dominant Tim Duncan.
I've always said that Tim Duncan wasn't the best player on that team for the past 7 or 8 years of.
But you're not gonna say Tim Duncan wasn't a superstar
In those years.
Which years you talking?
Just look at his last 10 years.
10?
Tim Duncan.
I don't know if you go back 10, but you can definitely go back 7 or 8. Because 10, you're looking at 05. The 05 series was his series. He won that series.
No, 10 years is 09. This is 2019, bro.
Well, no, his last 10 years.
When did he retire? Last year? So that's 18.
Tim Duncan retired in what?
2016.
2016,
Okay.
yeah. So then you're looking at like 05, 06, like.
Tim Duncan playoff numbers were not that much. They didn't surpass, according to Ray's criteria, they They didn't surpass his regular season numbers. They were consistent, but they didn't surpass it.
But 06?
Now, I'm just saying, look at his playoff numbers in totality. Look at his regular season numbers in totality.
His
With those playoff numbers,
his last really good playoff year was 07-08.
was his numbers in that series, in 07, and in that playoffs, was his numbers that much better than his regular season numbers?
Average more points. I mean, he was honest, like, he went up a notch in points. I mean,
Actually, they were better. Yeah, he went up 4 rebounds and went up a whole entire point. Yeah, actually, it was.
Other than that, he's consistent. He's been consistent. So that's my thing. Consistency has to say something. And Ray, you even brought it up. Like, Bron will average 27, 7, and 7. In the playoffs, he might average 28, 8, and 9, or 28, 8, and 8.
But that's why he's saying Tim Duncan was a superstar when they won the ring in 2013, 2014. I don't think he was a superstar in the NBA.
No, I'm just saying. I'm saying because he's done it for so long. He's an overall superstar. Now, if you go year after year, the superstar list will always change.
I mean, obviously, yeah. I mean, Tim Duncan might be the best power forward of all time. He has no choice but to be a superstar.
So now I'm gonna ask this question: are there players that once they become a superstar, they stay a superstar, or does the list of superstars change year after year? Like, can you be a superstar at one point, and then so I give you T-Mac. At a point in time when T-Mac first went to Orlando, he was winning the scoring titles. T-Mac was a superstar. When T-Mac went to Houston, are you saying T-Mac was no longer a superstar, or did T-Mac? So you don't think T-Mac was ever a superstar?
Well, that kind of goes into the realm that you said, because you said that you need to do it for a certain amount of time. You need to do it over 5 years. I don't think T-Mac ever had that type of high performance over 5 years and held it steady for over 5 years. So, I mean, to your criteria, I would say he wasn't a superstar. I mean, I think that T-Mac was a superstar at one point in his career. I do think he was a superstar at one point in his career.
So you can be a superstar and then no longer be a superstar?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that happens all the time. Same thing with Gary Payton. Gary Payton was a superstar at one point in the league. It might not have been very long, but he definitely was a superstar at one point in the league.
get older, on the decline.
But that's overall superstar. We say Gary Payton overall superstar.
Same thing with Allen Iverson.
So to Boo's point, once their career is over, and you look at the totality of their career, if they were once a superstar in their career, do you say, 96, 97, he was a superstar, but the rest of his career, he was, as Ray would say, an elite player, or he was just an all-star, or he was a star.
I would say that about some players. Yeah.
Can you be the best at one thing and be a superstar?
No.
So Gary Payton go top 5 in steals. I mean,
I don't think you could be good at one side of the basketball.
I mean, you could be all-time great though.
I don't think you can be good at one side of the basketball and be considered a superstar.
I mean, that's why I say Dennis Rodman was a superstar.
I don't think Dennis Rodman.
You could never say Dennis Rodman was a superstar.
I would never say
Wallace.
I would never say Dikembe Mutombo was a superstar.
Yeah.
So I mean, you say if you only good at one side of the ball, you can't be a superstar.
No.
So you're not saying Harden.
His defense is trash.
Come on now.
Yeah, offense means a little bit more than defense, though.
It does.
When you put the ball in the basket, it means a little bit different.
But see, Harden doesn't have an impact on the game on the defensive end, but on the offensive end, he has a strong impact on the game.
Gary Payton had a strong impact on defense.
He is the impact on the offense.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, his impact on offense is just like.
That's like saying Steve Nash wasn't a superstar.
Steve Nash was terrible defense.
Steve Nash was an awful defender, but he was
Steve Nash was
a magician on the offense.
He was controlling that offense.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
So I'm with 5. Offense outweighs defense.
Yeah.
Like, you could be a great defender and just be a great defender. It's nothing wrong with being a great elite defender.
Look at Steph Curry though. Like, Steph Curry's defense is nowhere near being good or elite, but on his offensive side of the ball, like it outweighs it so much that you can forget about it.
I'm still stuck on. Y'all don't think KG was a superstar?
I never said he wasn't. That was Ray. I think he falls in the Anthony Davis type gap. Like he's a generational player, and he means more to the game than just wins and losses.
If we going by like let's looking back at somebody's career, like hey, were they a superstar? Like if you're looking at his totality of his career, I mean, he did go to Boston. He did win Defensive Player of the Year in Boston. He did get the ship.
He won an MVP in Minnesota.
No, I'm just adding on to that.
But was he? But okay, so let's go to that. So was he a superstar in Boston?
That was gonna be my next thing. So
I don't think he was a superstar in Boston. I think when KG got to Boston, I'm a huge and Ray, you know I'm a huge KG fan, right? I think when KG got to Boston, KG became their defensive leader, and so he played his role to the point, like he played it exactly the way they needed him to play. Period. But KG was not the player offensively that he was at any point in time in Minnesota. But he didn't have to be.
Yeah, and I'm not, that's like, if somebody says Kevin Garnett is a superstar, I'm not here to like disagree or be like, no, you're wrong.
But y'all gonna say T-Mac wasn't a superstar.
If somebody says T-Mac was a superstar, that's what I'm saying. I'm not gonna say you wrong.
The whole criteria is messed up.
It depends on what you consider a superstar. Like, my criteria, no. Like, to your criteria, yes. To his, you know what I'm saying? So I'm not gonna be like, if you like such and such a superstar, I'm not gonna tell you like, nah, bro, you're wrong. I'm just gonna tell you how I view it.
Okay, so let me ask this question. Top 50 player in the league. Was Scottie Pippen a superstar?
Scottie Pippen.
He's always the best defender of all time.
A superstar?
Superstar.
I'm gonna have to say, come on. Scottie Pippen, superstar?
Took the Bulls to almost the final for Hugh Hollins.
Stop saying
almost. They went to the second round.
I just need y'all.
It was not the Eastern Conference Final. They went to the second round and lost.
I hate when people say that.
They lost in the second round.
I hate when people say that.
I need to know. No. 5?
I will say yes.
I
would say yes.
Yes, I like
I would
this.
say yes.
So being a superstar is like being better than the Hall of Fame. That's what you're pretty much saying.
To me,
a superstar.
To me, Scottie falls into the realm of the Kevin Garnett and the Anthony Davis, where he just means more to his position and to the game than you can ever put on a stat or a W. Like it's just they're those type of players. And then when you put them out there with the best in the world, they look like they belong. Like they look like the best player. They can be the best player on the team. Like you put Scottie on the Olympics, he's one of the best players on the team. Like,
so let me ask this question. Ooh, he was a part of our Go Talk once. John Stockton.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that's not even close.
Superstar.
Yeah, but
you just said Scottie wasn't.
Stockton was the best point guard. He was the best point guard.
But you just said Scottie wasn't. That's shocking to me.
What?
That you would say Stockton is a superstar and Scottie is not a superstar.
Stockton also dominated his position. Like he dominated his position. Like
We read off the numbers, bro. Like, Stockton was ridiculous.
Like,
if you ever look at Scottie numbers, man, Scottie numbers don't anywhere scream superstar. Like his numbers. Like let's just like
so do numbers. So that always brings a part of the argument, right? Does numbers, if you just look at statistical numbers, do numbers tell the story? Or is numbers only part of the story and you have to actually see the production?
I think numbers is part of the story. I don't think it's the only part of the story. But I think that
it's a part of the story.
It's part of the story.
Okay.
Like I said, to me, it's what you mean to the game. All right. You have to be like when people say the NBA, like you have to be one of the first players to pop up on people's minds.
So is Big Game James a superstar?
We had that go talk.
No.
I'm gonna say no. We talking about that go talk.
No.
Firm no.
No. No. Love Big Game James.
Man got a finals. That man got a finals MVP.
Not a superstar. Kevin McHale do too. I wouldn't call him a superstar either.
I wouldn't either.
I mean, it's just me.
Bill Walton.
Bill Walton?
Man. Oh, he got hurt.
No, Bill Walton had.
Did he sustain it for that long?
Bill Walton got 2 rings.
Probably got one. They got one ring.
Bill Walton got 2 rings.
Bro.
Won one with the Blazers and he won one with the
Did he
Celtics.
win with the Celtics?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he did sneak his ass on that bench, didn't he? He was a 6 man.
He was 6 man on the team.
They won that year?
Yes, they won that year.
No.
That's the question.
Because he was 6 man because he fell off because of injuries. Huh? His fault. What do you mean? What is
I think if you well, so I say this, right? Basketball Hall of Fame,
Basketball.
I think does
No one is not just for the NBA.
so I think the Basketball Hall of Fame does a disservice to the NBA. And the only reason I say that is because the Basketball Hall of Fame is your entire career. Like Grant Hill is a Hall of Fame.
The superstar.
But Grant Hill,
Actually, a great conversation. Was Grant Hill a superstar?
Grant Hill to me, again, Grant Hill, yeah, y'all know I'm a Duke fan. Grant Hill, pre-injury, was on his way to being a superstar player.
Yeah,
But when Grant Hill got hurt, that was it. But to me, Grant Hill is in the Hall of Fame because they add his accolades that he had in college. Stephon Marbury, we just had this conversation, y'all. Stephon Marbury is going to make the Hall of Fame because of what he has done in China.
He should.
Because of what he has done in China.
His NBA numbers are actually really good too.
But was he a Hall of Fame player in the NBA?
I don't think he ever would have made it. Nah. He just didn't do enough wins and losses.
And that's why I think that the Basketball Hall of Fame does a complete, because you can go and redefine yourself, or you could have had a great college career, average NBA career.
College coaches make it all the time.
Yeah. I just think there needs to be a separation.
I think they do it just because they want to globalize the game. Yeah, they want everybody to be involved. They want the Europeans to be involved. It's just more money, yeah. It's all marketing and finances at that point. I mean, I'm pretty sure the NBA would love to have their own. I mean, they have their own shrine, they have their own museum, they have their own, tourist, facilities. But it's all about the money at that point.
So the Hall of Fame is like a joke. You got Kobe Bryant in his picture next to Stephon Marbury. It's like disrespectful.
I don't think it's disrespectful.
I mean, it's not just you have to realize it's not just the NBA.
Kobe talks great about Stephon Marbury all the time. He said, man, he was one of the toughest guys he ever had to guard. Like when you talk about little guards. So I mean, they're all talented guys. Like everybody that's in the Hall of Fame is talented. Like there's not like a guy on there that you can be like, man, he wasn't shit. Like there's not one of those type of guys up there. So yeah.
I just think there needs to be a separation. I just think that's my only gripe.
I wouldn't be opposed to it because I mean, the college basketball should have their own. I mean,
but I think college basketball does.
I don't know if they have their own. Do they have their own? Mm-hmm. I don't think they have their own. No, I don't think they have their own either. So I mean, they would have a lot more guys in it actually if they had their own because there's a lot of guys who were great in college and didn't have great pro careers, so it would probably benefit a lot of people, to be honest with you. But like I said, it's all about the almighty dollar.
Yeah.
So
money. So man, that's the superstar talk. Man, let us know what y'all criteria is. Who you consider a superstar? I'm still gonna lie.
3 superstars.
I ain't saying it can't be more.
3 superstars.
So you trying to say the Lakers and the Warriors should just be on TV all damn year?
Yeah, that's it.
That's all you want to see.
That's
I
it.
didn't say that. You said that.
That's what superstars are, though. Like superstars are the players that everybody want to see on TV.
I mean, but
because they're the brand. It's the brand of the NBA. It's the people that they want.
But I mean, just to your point, you gotta been doing it for a long time.
I
for at least like
have to do that.
Like, look, if you look at Giannis, he's so young still. He ain't been doing it that long. I can't just say you a superstar in your 4th year, 5th year in the league, and you ain't.
But so that's why I asked: do we have to start looking at so do we have to start looking at it where we say like superstar this year, or do we not? Are we too quick to throw out the title of superstar?
Yes.
Of course, right.
Derrick Rose.
Yes, said that.
Huh?
With Derrick Rose, superstar rookie season.
Rookie? No.
Not rookie year. That was third year. He had the big. That was the third year. He had the big.
The MVP.
Yeah, he had been a superstar that year, right? Top 6 player in the NBA.
Superstar. Yeah.
But see, I don't think. See, that's what I'm saying.
He sold tickets. He was the NBA.
I just think we have to find a different word for when they have an outstanding year.
Instead of calling him
superstar.
I can agree with that. That's why I say it's got to be a level between all-star and superstar.
But even then, I don't think you can have one good year and be an elite player. Like there still has to be some level of consistency.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Think about it. You could be an all-star one year and then just completely fall off the face of the earth.
Absolutely.
Right?
I mean, that was very real.
We ain't gonna.
Damn, boy.
I mean, I hate to say it like that. I hate to say it like that.
Jesus.
But, I mean, it did. I mean, they got a whole documentary about it coming out. Come on, man.
Yeah, and so.
I mean, come on. Like, the documentary is gonna be about his fall from grace. Like, we all know what it's about.
Yeah.
Damn. Let's be honest.
Let me ask this. I'm gonna ask this. Was Penny Hardaway a superstar?
Yes, he got that. They went to the finals. He got them to and he was young too. He was real young when they got to the finals. Oh yes,
Penny fell off like bad dope.
No, that might have been his rookie year.
it was his 2nd year in the league, I believe.
Wait, Shaq came in
his 3rd year.
But what year did Shaq come in?
92.
So Penny, it was the second year.
Second year.
So it don't have to be consistent.
No, I think it has to be consistent.
So
I think it's got to be consistent.
Penny had a good year the next year too. Penny had a good
Penny
year
Hardaway.
next year.
No, Penny Hardaway was a great player. He was a good player.
He wasn't. Penny was.
Nah, bro.
Penny was a
Penny was not a superstar.
Penny was a generational talent though.
Yeah, but just because you're a generational talent does not make you a superstar.
Like when you talk about the NBA, like during those years, like when Jordan was gone, like Penny was the NBA. Like he was on all the commercials, he had all the shoe deals. Like Penny was the NBA.
He didn't have no type of longevity with it though.
No, he didn't. I didn't say he did. I didn't say he had any longevity with it. I didn't say he had no longevity. But Penny meant more to the game than just numbers. He falls underneath that Kevin Garnett, Anthony Davis. Like he falls underneath that
Because injuries killed him.
He was like they were looking at him as being like a magic, like magic. Like he was magic. He was magic for those 2 or 3 good years that he had. Like he was Magic Johnson. Like he was the NBA.
You don't necessarily have to be consistent. Jordan was a superstar. I mean, of course he's Jordan, but he was a superstar 1995 day one.
I mean,
stepping on the court, he was a superstar.
Michael Jordan is the exception to a lot of things.
I'm still with Michael Jordan.
When LeBron James stepped on the basketball court, he was a superstar. Some people are just outside of the conversation. It's just like, we just need you to get here and prove. Like, we know what you are. We just need you to get here and prove. So I'll give you an example. Like, the hype around Zion Williamson, right? Like, if he steps on the court and does what he's hyped to do, we're not going to talk about that. Like, that's what you're supposed to do. If you step on the court in the NBA and is not who we thought he was, that's when we're going to start having conversation. Like some certain players, the hype around them already takes them to a level that they just need to sustain. But certain players, they get there and they have to show that consistency.
I mean, that's not just. There hasn't been a lot of hype around a lot of guys, to be honest.
But I'm just saying, like
LeBron.
Yeah, like certain players, we automatically like.
Even Mike really didn't have like
like super big hype because Hakeem Olajuwon was coming off the Nationals. Well,
Hakeem-
I lost the national championship.
Hakeem is another one.
I mean, but you know,
All he had to do was come to the league and prove it.
absolutely, no, I agree. But Mike stepped on the court and averaged 28 a game.
Yeah, it's just a total different beast.
Exception, man.
Total different.
Ron
beast.
Henry averaged a dub. That was cute. That was cute. That was cute.
That 25 to 5 was cute, but Mike stepped on 28, 6 and 6. That is ridiculous.
Melo a superstar.
Oh,
Was he a superstar? Absolutely.
why?
Absolutely was.
Why?
I don't know.
Man,
I said, I don't know.
No, I can't. No.
Denver Nuggets, Carmelo Anthony wasn't a superstar?
And he did it. Yeah, he made it. Look,
They made the playoffs every year.
they made the playoffs every year. Every year.
They had the number 2. They had the number 3 pick in the draft and made the playoffs the next year.
I would
Carmelo Anthony.
say he was.
Okay.
Thank you.
I would say he was.
Thank you.
I would say
Thank you. I like you came here
because he like
switch with that.
I mean, but you look at when they played the Lakers though. He was elevating his game. Like Melo wasn't backing down from the challenge, man.
Melo is the type of person, like I just said, with the Kevin Garnett's, with the Anthony Davises, with the John Stocktons, with the Scottie Pippens. You put him on the floor with the best guys in the world, and he looks like the best player on the team. You put him on the Olympic teams with LeBron, with Wade, with Kobe, and on many nights, Carmelo Anthony was the best player on the floor.
Scotty was not looking like the best player on that '92 Olympic team.
Wow, that was Barkley.
Man, Scotty was hounding guys.
Yeah, but I'm talking.
Barkley was the best.
I mean, Scotty looked like he was wrong. Let me wrong, but I'm saying if we was like
Barkley was the best one.
like Melo looks like he's the one. You say when he was out there with Bron and them, Melo was actually like, yo, that's. I wouldn't say Scotty, but it was the same way with Scotty.
Scotty was
killer.
killing. Are you kidding
No, he
me?
was. Wow, yeah.
Barkley.
Kuko said, ask Kuko about
I mean, we all know that.
That's defensive.
That's defensive. I'm talking about like.
Ask Kuko about
It was Barkley.
Barkley was a beast.
So, hey, Will, you got another hot take?
I do. So my coworker Justin, we were having a conversation, and he said the top 3 two-way players in the NBA, no order. He said Jimmy Butler, Kawhi Leonard, and Klay Thompson. And I told him he was out his mind.
Say it again.
Jimmy Butler, Klay Thompson, and Kawhi Leonard.
No Paul George.
No, and that I just told him we didn't no longer need to talk basketball. The fact that Paul George is not in your top 3 two-way players in the league.
Klay would have been my number 4, but Paul George was number 3.
Well, Kawhi's number 1.
I don't care where you rank. Klay Thompson is not a better two-way player than Paul George.
That's tough.
It's not.
It is tough. That's tough.
Can Klay Thompson?
So you're a 2-way player, right?
Can Klay Thompson
That's tough.
score the basketball in the same way that Paul George can score the basketball?
I feel like if Klay had the volume, he could get into the mid high 20s when he comes to averaging. I think so.
It just ain't asked of him.
Yeah, I just think he just.
I hate to say this,
but
I can't be in the comments.
But I'll say this about Klay though. I don't think Klay is the playmaker that Paul George was. So I would put Paul George ahead of Klay. I really think the discussion for me is between Jimmy and Klay. To be honest with you, like that's where I'm kind of torn. That's where I'm kind of torn.
So Paul George is absolutely
I would put Kawhi and I'll put Paul George just because of their playmaking ability. Like, but then Jimmy's a playmaker too. I mean, I know.
So play the odd man out.
No, I'll take Jimmy.
Klay is definitely not man now. To me,
Jimmy out.
But to me, like Jimmy got some holes in his game too, though. Like,
we've seen. So I'm gonna tell you why I take Klay out. Right? We've seen Jimmy in Chicago by himself do it offensively and defensively. We've seen him in Minnesota with Wiggins and Cat do it offensively and defensively. We've seen Kawhi do it in San Antonio. We see him now doing it in Toronto. We've seen Paul do it in Indiana. Now we see him doing it in OKC. And I hate to say this. I understand that Klay puts up the numbers offensively a lot of time. Like, he'll have a game where he goes 44, only take 4 dribbles. He'll score the 62 or the 63. He'll defend your best player and all that. But to Jared's point, he's not a playmaker. And I know it's not asked of him, but sometimes your system has to, like the system you're in, has to take away from some of that, praise that you get. To me, that's just me.
I can get that.
Like, because I think Klay kind of benefits. He's not asked to play make. He doesn't have to. Like,
doesn't mean he can't.
We don't know.
I don't think he can.
We don't, like, I'm not going to say
that type of guy.
I just know.
I just don't think he's that type of guy.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
I don't know. Like, can Klay go and lead a team?
Like, they don't run a ton of ISO for him. Yeah. Like, it's not like he out there breaking guys down off the dribble all the time. And
does he even dribble?
That's what makes him so special. He doesn't dribble. He don't.
but I think the system thing too. The system is built perfectly for him.
But then that's what I'm saying. Like, he does
movement. Like, he's a Reggie Miller, Rip Hamilton type guard. To be honest with you.
Yeah, coming off screens,
transition, consistent movement. Like, I think he's those type of guards, but he's just a little bit. I think he's a little bit more off the dribble than any of those two. But yeah, playmaking ability is just tough. I mean, when he does playmake, it's because guys are jumping out at him, coming off screens, and he gets to guys like Looney, who dive to the rim, baskets. When what's the big Australian guy? Rocco? What's talking about? Bogey. Bogey was there. Like, he got bogey shots. I don't know why I just blanked on Andrew Bogey. But I think that's how he playmakes. Like, almost like Reggie Miller. Like, Reggie Miller got Antonio Davis and Dale Davis shots because of the threat he was coming off the screen. So
You would take Jimmy Butler over Klay Thompson?
I think I would, just because Jimmy is just better off the dribble, off the bounce. He just can do a little bit more offensively. That's the only reason why. I still think Klay might be a little bit better defender than Jimmy. I actually think Jimmy's defense has been kind of down a little bit the last couple of years. I think when he was in Chicago, he was a lot better defensively than he is now. But the rules have probably changed a little bit more too. He probably can't put his hands on people as much as he used to.
Klay Thompson did that stuff, generational talent stuff.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. Klay is a generational talent. We made, Ray Allen, Klay Thompson, Rip Hamilton, like, those guys don't come out of the draft every year. Like, you don't get guys like that out of the draft every year.
You'll find some more Jimmy Butlers coming into the league.
I will 100% agree with that. You will find some Jimmy Butlers. Like, I will 1,000% agree with that, actually.
I'm gonna take a statement from about 2-3 years ago. Klay is a great hustler on defense. He tries very hard. He's a great hustler on defense. He's a great hustler on defense. He's a great hustler on defense. Okay? I'm not gonna sit here and act like Klay is lockdown defensive. Lockdown defender. He is a great hustler on defense.
So do you think Jimmy's a better defender than Klay?
I don't think Jimmy just.
And Kimber just gave that man like 50 this year.
Listen, I'm gonna be honest. Jimmy in Chicago was I agree with you, Five. He was a much better defender. I think Jimmy actually in Minnesota, you could start to see the decline. But I think Jimmy in Minnesota, his decline came a little bit from the pieces around.
Just the frustration.
Yeah.
And the guys not helping out like they should.
Yeah.
Things like that. Okay.
The reason why I think Kawhi and Paul definitely have to be your best two-way players is because it doesn't matter what team they've been on. It doesn't matter what system they've been in. They've been able to take your best player and make it hard for them to score the basketball.
Mhm.
And some players, some players just gonna get their numbers.
Mhm.
But as long as it take them a lot of shots to get their numbers, we okay with it. And
I'm just gonna agree with that.
so, to answer your question, do I think Jimmy is still a lockdown defender? No. But do I think Jimmy has the ability to get back to being a lockdown defender? Yes. But I think it's up here with Jimmy. Like, I think Jimmy needs to stop trying to be the focal point and just play his game.
Okay. So, and who was that with that hot take?
Justin.
Shout out to you, Justin. That was a good hot take.
What do you think? You can say
Clay, I man out.
Clay the odd man out.
Man out.
Jimmy over Clay too?
Yeah.
Clay, what you say? What you say? You ain't say nothing yet.
I mean, Clay on the offensive end, like he
I
can't.
say I'll take it, Jimmy. I'll take Clay's the
You talking too late? I mean, Clay, like he ain't like Clay. Gonna give me some buckets.
Yeah, that's
What they call Jimmy?
Jimmy G.
Jimmy buckets. He gets buckets and he still can defend. We gonna move on to the Go Talk. Go Talk, baby. So I got two teams. I got two teams, man. Two powerhouse teams.
on teams now.
Switch to two teams, two powerhouse teams. And I actually wanted, like, who would you take in a series? 7-game series. Okay? I'm gonna go with the Warriors of last year, KD Warriors. Not going with the 70. What was it? 73. Yeah, I'm not going with them because I feel like these Warriors the Warriors with KD are just that much more dangerous. All right, point blank. Period.
Don't you dare say Chicago.
No. So what I want to do is 7-game series. That Warriors team from last year or the 2000-2001 Los Angeles Lakers.
The Lakers.
And the reason I say that is because if you actually remember, the Lakers used to have trouble with the Kings and that style of play.
Just like the Warriors.
And it's just like the Warriors.
And who won in the second?
No, listen what I'm saying though, is yes, they got the job done, but that Kings team is not the Warriors. You taking Mike Bibby or you taking Steph Curry?
Take Steph.
You taking Doug Christie or you taking Klay Thompson?
Take Klay.
You taking Kevin Durant or anybody else at the three?
Take it.
Like, they have Draymond. I mean, you're going to take C-Webb. That's C-Webb. And then you got Vlade. But they
had Vlade over any center that they had. Any center.
I don't think
they'll take Vlade. So, but I mean, if you think about it,
Big Bob Bell at the 5.
Ooh.
Some games.
Yeah, word. So, and then you look at the bench at Iggy.
Bobby Jackson.
I'll take Bobby Jackson.
I'll take Bobby Jackson over Iggy.
Yeah, I would too. But you taking that Kings team over the Warriors team? That's not what we're doing. But let's be real.
So you asking me? So to answer your question, your direct question, no. But I'm still taking the Lakers.
Okay.
You want to know why I'm still taking the Lakers?
Why?
Because number one, you got Shaq and Kobe.
Right.
Period. Now Clay would be in foul trouble trying to guard Kobe. Period. Who you gonna put on? Who is going to defend Shaq? Who on that Warriors team is going to defend Shaq?
Nobody can ever defend Shaq.
So he's gonna eat, and you cannot just allow Shaq to eat all day long, right? Derek Fisher was no slouch on defense. He was not a slouch. So Curry would get his numbers, but Curry would he would probably, to me, be a volume shooter getting those numbers. Rick Fox was also not a slouch on defense.
KD, I still take KD would have been that one player on that team that would just had his way with the Lakers.
No, because Kobe, to me, and if you look at the starting fives, right? You got Fisher, Kobe, Fox. You said 01-02. So who was starting?
2001 Lakers.
That was Robert Horry starting?
It started Horry at the 4.
Horry and Shaq, right? So Horry is going to defend Draymond.
Had that great season against Big Bob.
Fox to me is going, like, you're going to switch Fox and Kobe between Durant and Clay. Like, they're not, like, I don't think Durant would see the same person every time down court. But I also think Kobe would take that assignment on. And Kobe was a solid defender. he was a solid defender. So KD is like his shots again would be tough. And to me, that's where it's going to come down to is the defensive side of the ball for the Lakers versus the defensive side of the ball for Golden State. Golden State can't run that Hampton 5 out there, and Shaq is still going to be on the court. Not happening. And Shaq was running the court back then. He was running the floor.
Alright, 5. It's a lot closer than what people think.
I say it's close. It definitely would have been 7-game series. Easily.
I'm gonna let 5 go. And looking at this Lakers roster on that bench,
That bench is so trash.
this bench is horrible, dude.
I mean, I didn't say I never went to the bench, did I? I didn't go to the bench.
But the bench didn't play that many minutes anyway.
I didn't go to the bench. But I would say with the starters.
But the bench didn't play that many minutes anyway. I mean, Devin George played 17 minutes.
He was solid.
I mean, Samaki and Brian Shaw played 12. That was it though. That was all. That was the only people who played meaningful minutes. But yeah, but Kobe playing 44 minutes, Shaq playing 40. Give me the two best guys on the floor are gonna play 40 plus every night.
I mean,
There's no way around it. Like they don't have it. They don't have an answer for Shaq. None. Like period. Like none.
And you're not just letting Shaq get his numbers with ease.
None. They're like none. The layups that they get, done. Over with. Shaq, rim protector. Like, and if they did try to come down the lane with those pretty layups,
They catch it.
he was gonna put them to the deck. Shaq was just a different type of.
Shaq put it on your butt.
Yeah, he was a different type of creature. Old school guy. Like, not playing that. Like, you're just not gonna come in the lane and just be shooting. The one thing that I do think would get them in trouble is the pick and roll. Like, if they're gonna get Shaq involved in 30, 40 pick and rolls, every time down the floor, they might get them in a little bit of trouble.
But think about who would be setting the pick if you're trying to put Shaq in the pick and roll.
Probably be more like Bell. I mean, but the thing is,
JaVale, Draymond.
yeah, but we also talking about Phil Jackson too. Like, let's talk about the coaching too. Not saying this Curry is a slouch. Curry ain't no slouch. But who did Curry learn from? Phil. From Phil.
And Pop.
And Pop. So that Phil would find ways to make them uncomfortable. And that's all the Lakers defense really was. They tried to make guys uncomfortable. They picked up full court. A lot of people forget about that.
Yeah.
They did just like the 90s Bulls. They picked up full court. So they would have put pressure on Curry 90 feet from the basket, make him turn. They're going to pick up Durant at half court. It's like they're not going to just let these guys just walk into the threes that they've been walking into for the past 3 or 4 years. Like, it's just not going to happen. They're going to make them feel them. And then also, I think it does matter what rules are we playing.
I was just getting ready to say that.
What rules are we playing?
Let me ask you, if we playing back in the early 2000s?
We playing early back 2000s, you have to say the Lakers.
We playing now.
I mean, we playing now rules, so it'll be a little different. I mean, but they still would pick up full though. And we know in the playoffs that they don't blow the whistle like that. So we're talking about 7-game series.
I'm still taking the Lakers because I still have Kobe.
And they got the finisher. They got the finisher. I mean, not to say that I don't trust the Golden State guys, because obviously Durant has gotten it done, like in closing moments. They would have to have a lead though to win. Like, they would have to be up 8, 9.
But how much minutes? But how much? They would. So you're saying they have to be up between 8 to 10 points. But with how much time left for you to feel comfortable that the Warriors were going to win?
3-4 minutes. I mean,
I'd say less than that.
Because they're playing from behind. You can foul Shaq. You gotta kind of take
when you count.
You gotta kind of take Shaq out the game when stuff like that happens. But it will come down to coaching. Phil would find a way. I got more trust in Phil with the 2 best players on the floor than I do with Kerr with the 3rd, 4th, and 5th best players on the floor. It's just to me. And also, if you want to come double team Shaq, they got shooters.
Yeah.
Derek Fisher is knocked down. Rick Fox knocked down. If you want to throw Devin George out there, he's knocked down. And we know what Big Shot Bob is about. So, and Big Shot Bob, let's talk about him too. Let's talk about him and Draymond. Like he is that type of guy who could give Draymond some issues.
Yeah.
Right? He has the length. He has the savviness. He stretches the floor. Woo. It would be a good series to me. Man, it would be a good series. I actually think, and y'all probably gonna get my ass about this, but I think that Warriors team actually matches up better with the Bulls than they do with this Lakers team, just because of Shaq.
Right.
Only because of Shaq. Because down the stretch, the Bulls would put Rodman at the 5, Kukoc at the 4. That's a little bit better matchup for the Warriors, just because of the inside and the paint.
So you saying Artest, Jordan, Pippen, Kukoc, and Rodman.
Artest.
I mean, not Artest.
Harper.
Yeah, Harper.
I think
Jordan, Pippen, Kukoc, and Rodman will have trouble.
I think for Golden State's point of view, it's a better matchup for them. Shaq is the ultimate mismatch. So if you're telling me that they're gonna go out there and play Hampton 5 with Shaq on the floor for 40 minutes, Shaq playing 40 minutes, and you're gonna put Draymond on him, no, it's just not gonna happen.
But I'm gonna even go back to what you just said. The Bulls.
I think the Bulls will be a
Ron
matchup for them.
Ron Harper, Jordan, Pippen, Kukoc, and Rodman versus Curry, Clay, Durant, Iggy, and Draymond
are a better matchup for the Warriors. Just because we all know the playoffs are about matchups. Do we all agree with that? Playoffs are about matchups.
Yeah.
Playoffs are about matchups.
So I see what you're saying.
Match up better with them just because it'll be more kind of like freestyle basketball, kind of positionless basketball. Shaq throws your whole strategy out the window.
I'll say that.
How do you game plan for Shaq?
You can't.
You can't mimic that with anybody else in the NBA.
And the reason I said the word, like I said, you look at the Kings. They had Stojakovic at the 3.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, they was going toe to toe with the Lakers, man.
Yeah.
Lakers had to win that series. What was it, on the road?
They had a big though. That's the thing. They had D-Bob.
Yeah.
And those type of big men gave Shaq issues.
Absolutely.
The big man
offensive skill, big man, all Shaq.
They gave Shaq issues.
Shaq wasn't coming out the paint.
They don't have that. They don't have that.
Yeah, but they also arguably got the best player, Kevin Durant, on, if you look at the
best
Kings,
player.
you know what I'm saying? If you look at between the two teams.
What two teams?
The Kings.
I thought you were talking about the Lakers and the Warriors. I'm about to slap.
Calm down.
I was about to.
My thing is, if the Kings could play with them like that, I think the Warriors got more firepower.
So, but it's about like we just said, it's about matchup. So they don't have a D-Box on their team.
So I'm gonna go back to what you murdered by Shaq. But I'm gonna go back to what you said about matchup.
He's getting murdered. It didn't matter.
If you take that Bulls 5 and the Warriors 5, I still think the Bulls have the better matchup because the Warriors still have 2 offensive liabilities. And Iguodala and Draymond.
I'm not disagreeing with you.
Yeah,
I'm just saying that from the Warriors' perspective, it's a better matchup for them. I think
you saying because there's no answer for Shaq.
Yeah, absolutely. How do you game plan for Shaq? How do you game plan for Shaquille O'Neal, especially with today's NBA team?
I think
Jordan.
Huh?
How you game plan for Jordan?
I mean, Jordan is stop throwing Jordan down there. Jordan is Jordan down there
on the Bulls.
But Jordan is a different type of guy.
So you just saw Shaq.
No. Because teams
Michael Jordan.
Teams who had success against the Bulls was just let Michael just go out there and just get it. It's I hope we all know that. The early on the 80s, the Pistons flat out said it. Listen, they were man, we knew Mike was gonna get his. Our mindset was to beat up everybody else. And that's how you game plan for Mike. You tried to beat up everybody else. You tried to hold everybody else down, which you couldn't do. There's just a point in the fact when Horace got hot, Forrest got too comfortable. Scotty got comfortable. And the other guy stepped up. I mean, Mike was always getting his. He's always going to get his. So, I mean, but Shaq is just a different story. You got to bring other guys. He got guys in foul trouble. Now you get other guys shooters. It's just a total different beast.
All right. I respect it. I think if we playing in early 2000 rules, I'm definitely gonna take the Lakers.
If we playing this
style of basketball in the NBA now, I would take the Warriors. I would take the Warriors because it's made for them. Even though Shaq is the ultimate mismatch, man, the Warriors that have so much firepower. Because I mean, you look at Kobe. You can even say Kobe and Shaq could get theirs. But I mean, dude, the Warriors got
the triangle slowed the game down so much. I don't know if they'd be able to speed it up like that. You looking to see what's in that man? The triangle slowed the game down so much that I don't know if they would. I mean, they literally walked the ball up every single possession. It never got to attract me.
And I know we talk about Robert Horry being big shot Bob, but Derek Fisher hit some big shots too.
yeah.
So that's why I don't know. I do know that the Lakers will win, but I don't.
Because I look at that. If you tell me that Sacramento Kings team could take them 7 games, and you mean to tell me the Golden State Warriors with Kevin Durant wouldn't be able to beat them in the series in today's rules? Come on, man. I think they can. I think it's a very real possibility. And obviously
they just don't have. They don't have the matchups that they had. They don't Draymond's not Weber, so you can't. You're not gonna put Horry in a tough situation because Draymond's just not that guy.
And they don't have an offensively skilled big man.
And I know Shaq numbers were up in that series, but Shaq stayed in foul trouble. Offensive fouls. Divac was a flop master, and Shaq would stay in foul trouble just because of that. And that had something to do with the series too. Mm-hmm. But when the series needed to be won, Kobe was always there.
Money time.
It was money time, man. It was money time. And one of the best defenders. And they don't have a defender who can check Kobe.
And
they don't. But if you ask me, I would rather take Christie or Andre Iguodala, I'm gonna take Iggy.
And he check Kobe?
Who I would rather have to check Kobe.
Yeah.
So
he would be cooked too.
Wait. So I'm gonna give you this. That Kings team and this versus that Lakers team with this NBA's rule, you think?
No, I don't think that Kings team will win.
But do you think it would go 7 games?
Would it go 7 games?
Right.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
The Kings and the Warriors?
Well, the Kings and the Lakers. So take the same teams and give them today's NBA rules. Mm-hmm. Can the Kings go 7 games with the Lakers? With today's NBA rules?
You do that at Shaq.
I'm going to say no. Because when we were talking about Harden and Kobe, and we were talking about how Kobe, if Kobe played in today's NBA, he would score 30 plus points, probably, 40 to 50 times in a row? Maybe more? With today's, and we all sat here and said, when Kobe got the ball, it wasn't no playing around. He knew what he was doing. Doug Christie would have been in foul trouble.
Oh, yeah. And if Christie was in foul trouble, it was a wrap.
Come on.
They didn't have another guy who could check.
Come on. Doug Christie probably made it a little tough for Kobe because he was able to hand check. You take hand check out, Doug Christie on the bench, bro. He on the bench. He on the bench. And that's why I said, Kobe he's that. Kobe, to me, Kobe don't get enough credit for how great he was offensively.
I wouldn't say that.
Yeah, I think Kobe should be in the conversation of being a GOAT, and I wasn't even a Kobe fan. Sleep on that.
Nah.
Sleep on that.
Nah.
Okay.
No. But I do think the Warriors in today's rules, I think people are underestimating, Kevin Durant, the mismatch that he is.
Because the Lakers you still had Fox, and you still had Kobe, who were 2 defenders.
They could put Horry on them.
They had.
We saying Kobe would have been cooking whoever was guarding him. KD gonna be cooking whoever guarding him.
Yeah, but I don't think. KD would have been a volume shooter.
What do you mean by volume shooter?
It would have taken him a lot of shots to get his points.
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, he's 7 feet. You can do everything. They had never. That's
We've seen in the past 2 years with playing the Cavs. KD has had some games where he struggled scoring the basketball. And we're not going to say any defender on the Cavs is to the level.
struggle scoring against Cleveland.
Shooting wise.
When?
Let me.
Maybe that game.
Maybe a game.
That game.
The man said they were averaging 5.
Again, I'm not saying he wasn't scoring the basketball. I'm saying how many shots did it take him to get those points?
He was efficient as hell.
Game one, I think he
Last year, game one, he wasn't that.
Game one, he wasn't that fit. I think he like 5 and 20.
Man, what was he for the whole?
That was it though.
Yeah.
What about the year before that?
Oh yeah, before that he was money.
What?
Oh yeah, everything.
Let me go look at these.
That was the Richard Jefferson year, right? Oh my God!
I kept putting Richard Jefferson on.
The Richard Jefferson year.
Yeah, he was cooking Richard Jefferson. And then they tried to put LeBron on him. It was just too late.
like me. Oh my God.
Yeah. 2 years ago, yeah, he was money. Yeah. I don't know if he shot under 50%. I don't know if he shot under 50%.
He might wait. Give me 1 second.
Maybe that game they won by 20 when they won in Cleveland game 4. That might have been it.
Listen,
Dude.
hold on.
Yeah. We waited.
Don't.
KD in the finals. They
Oh, wait,
Cavs. Little dog fest. They wasn't even done. KD had like 2 dunks that one game. Like
You're irritated.
we did.
You're irritated.
What's that?
I'm pulling it up, bro.
All you gotta do is type in NBA finals.
I'm right here looking at it. I'm trying to get the box score though. It ain't showing the status, the shot attempts.
Hey man, it was old.
I got it. What was that last year? 17, 18?
17-18 was last year.
Brother.
Give me 1 second. I'll tell you. He was
The man shot 55.
Game one. He was 8 for 22.
Oh, that was terrible.
The next game he was 10 for 14, 15 for 23. And then game 4 he wasn't that good. He was 7 to 17, but they won by 23.
So that's 2 games right there. That's 2 games.
17.
Reread this for the year before.
You can't show me the whole series. Ray kills me when he tries to show you. We talking about game by game. You can't show me the whole series.
Okay.
You can have an efficient game and your statistical numbers.
Yeah, he was outstanding actually this series. 14 for 26, 13 for 22, 10 for 18.
14 for 26.
That's over 50%.
I'm doing my math.
So I do the percentages for you. Game 1 he was 54%. Game 2 he was 59%. Game 3 he was 56%. He had 1 down game with 41% in game 4. That was the game that they lost. That was
The game 4.
And then he shot 70%. He was 14 to 20.
But I still think
Jesus.
I'm 14 for 26 with better defenders.
He had 38 points.
With better defenders. 14 for 26. That means he missed 12 shots. Better defenders. Cleveland ain't had no defenders.
Let's not act like as one of the greatest scorers Kobe Bryant is. Let's not act like Kobe was shooting over 50% in his series.
I'm not saying.
So you talking about efficient?
That's not you know what I'm saying. Right?
Durant in the 2017 playoffs had 3 games where he shot under 50%.
That was last year.
No,
2017.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
But again, that's why great players. This is what I'm saying.
That was he just not a volume shooter.
He's not a volume shooter.
KD, those numbers don't equate volume shooter.
You're proving my point, right? The Cavs didn't have defenders to the level of Kobe, Rick Fox, or Robert Horry. And even Devin George was a hustler.
He was a young Kobe too.
And Devin George was a hustler. Like those shots, KD had easy. We're talking about J.R. Smith, Amon Shumpert, and Richard Jefferson.
And LeBron.
But LeBron wasn't, like.
LeBron been declining defensively.
Come on. We talking about Kobe, Rick Fox, Robert Horry, and Devin George.
I hear you, but I feel like you're just trying to discredit KD.
I'm not. I'm not trying to discredit him. But what I'm saying is the Lakers would have made it tough for him. They would have made it tougher for him than the Cavs ever made it for him. Ever.
I will say this. So in the 2017 playoffs, the defenders that he was going against were not good at all. I mean, he went against Mo Harkless in the first round.
Come on.
Gordon Hayward in the second round.
Oh my God.
Kawhi got hurt in the first game.
Are you serious? Yeah.
Yeah, Kawhi got hurt in the first game, and they went crazy in the second half of that game. So who's guarding them? Rudy Gay maybe?
No, Rudy wasn't on the team.
Rudy Gay was. Yeah, Rudy Gay was on the team. Rudy Gay and Richard Jefferson.
Richard again?
No, that was the first game.
Oh God.
See what I'm saying?
He's still not a volume shooter, bro.
They would have turned him into
And
one.
who's to say KD's length wouldn't have bothered Kobe?
It's possible.
Kobe has always.
That wasn't your argument. My argument is the Lakers. My argument is the Lakers defenders versus Durant. They would have made it tough for him.
Man, he would have shot 49%, I guess. I mean, bro, like, it's still.
Or you did. He would have been. Gonna see him let disrespect your.
I will say this though. PJ Tucker made him a volume shooter when they played Houston last year. Very volume, actually. Last 4 games of that series, he shot 37, 36, 35. And then he finally shot 52% in that last game. Yeah. So he has a 9 for 24, 8 of 22, 9 and 19. Even that first game they lost, like he was 13 to 22. That was a game he was going crazy, but they lost. They lost only 22 that game.
You gonna say let him disrespect?
That's not disrespectful.
No, I'm just saying. I'm like it's
a possibility that like the same way you saying KD could have struggled and been a volume shooter is the same thing I'm saying with like if you put length on Kobe. I've seen Kobe get length put on him, and he struggled with his efficiency. Kobe's always struggled with longer defenders. I mean, he's cooked them, but I mean he struggled with them. What was that? Andre Karolinko. He used to struggle against Karolinko was like 6'10".
Yeah, it was like 40 versus Utah.
When?
He tortured Utah one series.
But I'm saying he used to struggle. Like he used to struggle against taller defenders though. Karolinko.
He torched Utah one.
Couldn't nobody guard Kobe like Ruben Patterson. Kobe.
Come on, he really torched him. He really torched him.
So can you give me a player with Scotty too? Can you give me a player with
He did torch Scotty though.
Can you give me a player with left Kobe struggling against?
Tayshaun Prince.
That's good. I get it.
Oh, I didn't have that in my name.
Oh, okay.
He did torch Scotty though.
You gave me one. You gave me one.
Don't act like it ain't possible.
I didn't say it wasn't.
But like I said, today's rules, I'm taking Golden State, man.
I need to know what you had in that cup.
I'm taking. And stop trying to discredit KD, bro.
I ain't discrediting him.
I'm just a volume shooter.
They would have turned him into a volume shooter. I'm giving them Lakers.
Even look at them numbers for the Cavs, and we saw them fly.
That's what I'm telling you. They defenders wasn't that good.
Sure.
They defenders trash. But yeah, wasn't that my point? The defenders wasn't that good.
But I mean, great offensive players.
Great offensive players, what?
Dude,
they know how to score the basketball. That doesn't mean you can't turn them into volume shooters for great defense. And the Lakers had good defenders.
They did.
Mm-hmm. That's all I'm saying.
But I mean, you got to think about like the same way you were saying with like the rules now. Like Rick Fox wouldn't have been able to be all up on KD like that. He wouldn't have been able to like you could rough him up still back then. Like that's why I said if we was playing those rules, but now it's too much freedom, bro. Like that's a foul, bro. We in the penalty already. I'm at the line.
I think Rick Fox can move his feet a little better than
man, please.
Rick Fox can't move his feet better than Iman Shumpert.
I mean, but what is he gonna? KD is way much faster than Rick Fox. much faster, I'd say.
More athletic too.
Oh my God, Rick Fox, man, he was getting 2 checks in LA. You hear me? From the Lakers and from Hollywood. Let's
what you got, man? What you got?
Let's spotlight for Black History, man. He actually passed away 5 days ago. Frank Robinson. Okay, that's what I want to highlight. First African American manager First ballot Hall of Famer. Batting average 294. Won MVP in the NL and the AL. He was a beast. Read you his numbers: 586 home runs, 1,812 RBIs, 2,943 hits. Like I said, 294 batting average. 14-time All-Star, 2-time World Series champion. Like I said, 2-time MVP, World Series MVP, Triple Crown, Rookie of the Year, Gold Glove Award, Manager of the Year. Had his number retired by the Indians, Orioles, Reds, and dude, he was doing this stuff in the 60s. Jim Crow.
Tough times.
You know what I'm saying? And to be able to go out and put up those numbers, so man, that's my spotlight. It was on you next week. It's on you next week.
That's a good one.
Yeah, this numbers is crazy. First black manager. He was a player manager when he did it too.
Yeah,
He was a player manager when he did it.
I read about that.
But yeah, shout out to him, man. May he rest in peace. Y'all got something y'all want to say, man? I've enjoyed today's show. The Superstar Talk, the back and forth.
We want to say something. It's our birthday weeks. My birthday is tomorrow, February 13th, and A Wills is the day after.
You turning 35?
That is crazy. That is disrespectful, man. That dies as hell.
You talking a little bit too hard,
I will be 32. 32? 32. Alright, young man.
Alright.
So, happy birthday to us Aquarians. Wave game.
It's your birthday East Coast time right now.
Yes, it is.
It's your birthday East Coast time.
Shout out to my New York people.
But we are not on the East Coast. Hey, your birthday.
Man, you call the man out. Call the man out a little die. They start hating, don't they?
Yeah, defend yourself.
We out here, man. Wave game.
Aquarius.
We out here, man.
Y'all only cool because J. Cole is an Aquarius.
Last week was Mike. This week is J. Cole.
He a January Aquarius.
Only because we get President's Day off.
He a January Aquarius. You don't count.
Alright, cool. Whatever. Hey, real yours on Valentine's Day, brother.
Yeah, man.
Woo! Man.
Get a gift, give a gift.
Y'all got anything?
I just want to say Duke came back from 22 down to win tonight.
71-69. I just saw that.
Yeah, they was down 22.
You got notification for that?
Yeah.
Sad day.
I ain't get notification.
North Carolina lost on Monday.
Lakers lose. Duke win. Bad day.
I'm gonna sleep good tonight.
Birthday already.
I hope you slip your ass on some black ice on follow our social media, man. Like us on Facebook, Goodfellas Podcast, spelled with a 3 instead of an E. Twitter, at Goodfellas87. Instagram, at Goodfellas Podcast. And the YouTube page, Goodfellas Podcast. And, shout out to my boy Jamar, repping Minimum Wage Heartthrobs. Y'all follow him at Dan Ketchup. What you got on over there, Fowler?
Got my boy Io, Walking Canvas on, Buyer Not Cocaine. Check out his page on Instagram, Walking Canvas. Got a whole bunch of clothes on there, man. That's my boy. Shout out to Io.
I just got on my
rapping though.
Bone Boiler Maker shirt.
Woo! CBS in the building.
CBS. Okay. Yeah. Our girls lost in the regional championship Friday. So
is that the regional or a city?
Region. They were city champs. They lost in the regional.
Gotcha.
They lost in the regional championship.
Booth, you got something you want to add, man? You've been real.
No. Everything else that.
Clay Thompson, man.
I'm cooking. I like to say
Interact with us, man. Let us know what y'all thought of the show, man. Until next week, man. Booth, we gonna get you some help, man. Love, live, like we out here.